Hello everybody, I'm Melissa and welcome back to Book Bar and welcome to my favorite video to make every month, and that is my monthly stats and faves. So this is my stats and faves from the month of November. Because I read so many books in a month, I tend to break my wrap-ups up and do a mid-month wrap-up, which I'll link up here, where I talk about 17 books, and then I do an end-of-month wrap-up where I talk about the 12 books that I read in the second half of the month. And then I do my stats and faves. So, if you count up 17 plus 12, that is a total of 29 books, which is how many books I read this month, with one book carrying over. So, about a book a day, a little less, because obviously there were 30 days in November. And the one book I'm carrying over is Kingdom of Ash. I read around 9,990 pages. I say that because there's a couple Audible exclusive novellas that we don't know how many pages are in it, so I always just say around. I read one nonfiction, one historical fiction, and 27 romances this month. I read one monster romance, one fanfiction romance, 5 fantasy/paranormal romances, 2 historical romances, and 18 contemporary romances. And the 2 historical romances that I read were also dark romances. My average rating was 4.5 stars. I had 15 5 stars, 4 4.5 stars, 5 4 stars, 2 3.5 stars, 1 3 star, and 1 book that I just did, and 2 books that I did not rate. Because any book that is under 100 pages, I don't rate those. I just don't think it's fair to put them on the same. I mean, even a book 150 pages is hard to put on a level of a book that's 500 pages, but that's the way my brain works. I read 8 ebooks, listened to 16 audiobooks, read 3 physical books, and 2 that I read and listened to, whether it was physical or ebook and audiobook. My highest reading day was on the 22nd. I read 833 pages. And on the 27th, that was my lowest day, I read 15 pages. And now, for the best part, why do I feel like that was way faster than normal? That's fine. My honorable mention for this month is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Lynn. This is a fantasy romance, YA/new adulty. I just put it on this level because I don't rate it on the level of that I would rate a normal romance. So it is an honorable mention because it was a fantastic book. It was still 5 stars, but it wasn't at the level of these romances. But it was fantastic. Basically, the Moon Goddess had a daughter that she had hidden because the Moon Goddess was banished to live on the moon, and when she was banished, she hid her daughter from the world, and her daughter's starting to become more powerful and things are happening, and so she tries to protect her daughter, and her daughter ends up in her enemy's hands, and the daughter then may fall in love with the enemy's son, and things may happen. There may be a little bit of a love triangle with the captain of the guard, and yeah, it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. I gave 5 stars. All the rest of these 5 stars, I'm not going to say, but that's fine. Now, number 5 is Coldhearted Boss by R.S. Gray. This was not what I was expecting. I know R.S. Gray's books are generally more rom-com-y feel. This was not very comedic. It was a lot more sad than I thought it was going to be. This was Taylor and Ethan, and Taylor is down on her luck. She just barely graduated high school. She works for a job where she is a maid for a boss who is kind of a creep, and her mom works double shifts, and she's just trying to give her sister a better life than she had because their dad walked out on them. And one night she's just really feeling down, and she's at a bar, and she's kind of getting flirted. She's making eyes at this guy, and he follows her into a bathroom, and while things are getting hot and heavy, she might reach into his pocket and try to steal his wallet. And she does steal his wallet, but she realizes that she can't go through with taking his money, even though he has about $800 in cash. And so she gives it to the bartender, says he'll be back for this. And the bartender ended up stealing the $800 cash, but Ethan did not know this. So a couple months go by, and Taylor now is going to try to get a job on a construction site, building this new resort. And Ethan is the owner of the company that is taking over going to be building this resort. And he may follow Taylor around to keep an eye on her and make sure that everything stays above board with her. But yeah, it was so cute and fun. I gave 5 stars. It was also sad, and there were moments that just ripped my heart out, and I loved it. Then number 4 is In the Weeds by BK Borison. This is the second book in the Love Light Farms series. This follows Becca and Evelyn. It's kind of a second chance romance. They had a one-night stand, and Becca is the farmer. He's very quiet, reserved, shy. He doesn't like a lot of loud noises. That's why he likes to go out and farm. And one night at a bar in a small town in Maine, he meets this girl named Evie, or Evelyn. They have one night together, and he's just smitten with her in that one night. Well, she ends up leaving that night, leaving the next morning. And then a couple months later, she shows up at Love Light Farms to interview Stella and to be go to the farm. Well, a couple months pass, and she realizes that the last time that she was really, truly happy was at Love Light Farms. So Evelyn goes back to visit and ends up staying with Beckett. So they become roommates, and it was just so fun and cute. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. Every book in the series has gotten better, which brings me to number 3, which is Mixed Signals, also by BK Borison. This is the 3rd book in Love Light Farms. This follows the 3rd owner of the farm, Layla, she owns the bake shop, and she has a little romance with a man from the town named Caleb. He's always kind of had a crush on her, and one night he sees her at a bar. She was on a date, and her date just ditched her. And so Caleb drives her home, and he convinces her to date him for a little while to kind of help him, because he thinks he's bad at dating, because he tends to fall in love really fast, and women don't reciprocate, and he wants to know what he can do better. So they may start to have real, true feelings for each other. She might decide that, maybe taking a chance on a real relationship might be worth it, and not dating all these losers that she's been dating. So it was fantastic. I loved it. It's been my favorite book so far. Each book's gotten better in the series, and I'm really excited for Charlie's story coming out next year. Then my second favorite book of the month was Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. This is a historical dark romance, so do know that going in. It is very dark. There are a lot of content warnings, sexual assault, violence, death, gore. There's a lot of trauma, just very much all of the things, but it was so good. This is Bennett, who is a female pirate, and she is married to a priest who does something kind of shady to her, and Bennett ends up getting captured by a man named Ashley, who's a pirate hunter, and things might go from there. And who knows? But it is so good. The way Bennett knows what she needs to do. And yeah, it was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. Then my top book of the month is Ghosted by JM Darhower. I absolutely adored this book. This book just took me by surprise, blew me out of the water. It has become one of my favorite books of all time. I absolutely adored it. And this is a second chance romance, kind of a small town vibe. But basically, Johnny, or Jonathan, as Kennedy calls him, is an actor of a very popular comic book series turned into a movie, Maurizio, think Spider-Man, but kind of different, Maurizio had a tragic past. Well, Jonathan life follows art in this form. And Jonathan and Kennedy met when they were in high school, and they fell madly in love with each other. And Kennedy dropped everything and followed Jonathan to LA to be with him and to love him and to chase his dreams. But once they got to LA, his dreams became everything, and she became very little, and she ended up pregnant, and so she left. And now he's back, and finally he's sober, and he wants to have a relationship with his daughter, and he may want to have a relationship with Kennedy again, and says that, you know, he never stopped loving her and has always wanted to be with her. And, you know, it was just, there's a lot of the book that, there's a lot of things that, like, ring true, like, to, like, that are personal to me, and it's just, I just absolutely adored it. I loved the parallel of, like, because it's told on 2 timelines, so basically it's told in the current timeline in dual perspective of Jonathan and Kennedy and what's going on, but then it's also told through a notebook, diary entries story of their past, which is told from Kennedy's point of view, but it was like her writing a story about them. And I loved that the parallels between so at the beginning of the current timeline, things aren't good between Kennedy and Jonathan, obviously. He's been MIA for 6 years and wasn't that great for 2.5 before that. And things are just not where they were. But in the past timeline, things are fantastic. It's when they're first meeting and falling in love and everything happening. And then as like they, in the current timeline, start to fall in love again and find their way back to each other, you start to hear what happened to make their relationship get to the point it was at the beginning, and it's just beautiful. I absolutely adored it. I may or may not have already read it like 3 or 4 times. It's like been my go-to like fall asleep book. But I just absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. And I can say nothing but fantastic things about it. I didn't realize how old, like it was published in like 2017, so it's been around for a really long time. But everyone needs to read it. It's so good. But yeah, those are my stats and faves for the month of November. 1 month left of this, and then I will be doing my year stats and faves, which is going to be wild. I'll still do a December, and then I'll do like a overall year after the month is over, because obviously I want every book to be included. I might do a like top 10 of each subgenre before the end of the year, just because even if I do find one favorite of each subgenre, that won't affect too much. It'll just be like my favorites for now kind of thing. But then I'll do like an overall favorites at the end of the year, or after the end of the year. So yeah, that is all I have for now. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me a star emoji, because 5-star books. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the fun stuff. It really helps me out, and I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye.